All right, we are Rogue Bunnies Mayhem. I'm Brian Olea, Jenn Pershing. We've got a great show. I am excited because we have been wanting to get this beautiful woman on this freaking show since we started, and we finally worked our schedules. You know Jessica Hall out there. Come on, you've seen her. Actress, model, reality TV, and radio personality. Jessica, we're back.
She's the whole
Woohoo!
We are.
package.
Oh my gosh, I miss you guys. I
I
love.
miss you.
I know. The second I saw your faces, I'm gonna have a good day today. Like you guys have such
Aw.
a good energy, and I miss. Oh, I don't want to say the old times, but this morning I kind of woke up. I'm feeling my age, guys. I miss our young years. I miss our mansion days. I miss no social media.
Right.
I miss the days where I was just looking for a room at the mansion that was quiet enough to have sex in it. Brian, you know what I'm saying. Oh, with my husband. With my husband.
Disclaimer.
Is he
Disclaimer.
around? Is he there today, or is he out and about?
Oh no, I'm in the guest house of my home, and my husband's in the house with the kids and the dog, so I could have some peace and quiet with my friends.
Aha, there you
Love
go.
that.
So, Jessica, yes, we want to talk about all the fun, crazy times that we had and all the fun parties, and I'm sure you got stories. But what's going on with you right now, man?
Well, I started the show with I'm old. No, I should
You
take
are
this
not
out. I
old.
feel good. I feel good. I
I
feel like
mean, you're
confident.
glowing and you're
Uh,
gorgeous and you're not old.
No, it's so funny because I actually got an email this morning. It was like, because a lot of my friends' kids now are wearing like, they don't quite understand what the Playboy symbol is. I see like PacSun carries it. I see all these places and they're wearing that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys have no idea. Like some of
Right.
the fun we had. They just look at me like I'm this like dinosaur. And I'm like, you guys, no, listen, I was super cool in my day. But yeah, now I'm jumping into what's like new and what people are doing, and that's a lot of the influencing and the podcasting and investing in writing. I write for LA Mag. I'm busy. I have two kids. I still get into some stuff every now and then, whether it's Kendra pulling me on a new reality TV thing or just
Yeah.
staying in contact with everyone, and it's been good and no regrets. And I love my time. I love my 20s, I love my 30s, and now oh my gosh, I'm in my 40s. I'm 41 years old now.
Oh, my
And
favorite number.
see, okay, it's a good year to come. Yeah, so I'm just living life, and I yeah, that's pretty much. I don't even know what the question was, but there's where I'm going to end it.
Well,
I'm
no, it's
living
just like where
life,
you're at now
Brian.
because, well, but Jessica, see, I give credit to you a lot that, like, when we went through the 2020, and I've mentioned this a million times on the show, and I'm going to say it again, girl, you really dug into me when you said we were texting and you're trying to do reconnects and you're like, why aren't you doing radio anymore? I'm like, well, that's dead. It's done. And yeah, but you can do on. And I really felt like, wow, I'm so lost. I mean, yeah, I have work and all that stuff, but you encouraging me, Jessica, that when
Oh,
I met with Victoria and talked about Rogue Bunnies, I said, I got an idea. Jessica's been saying, why aren't you doing anything? Well, why don't we do something? And you really had it in the back of my head. And we called Jen and go, what do you think? Come on, you want to do it like we used to do it?
Mhm.
And that's why we're having fun. We're just putting it back out there. But thanks to you, this is why
oh,
we're doing this. And that's why I wanted to know for you. I mean, I know that you put your podcast on hiatus for right now on hold, and you're working towards a new project or same project, or what are you doing? Because
but
you
first of
are
all,
talented as fuck, man.
you are Jen. You guys are amazing, and this is why I never thought you should stop. And the Mansion Mayhem always continues, as you say. And I never thought it should stop. And I know 2020 was obviously a rough year, and everyone's like trying to figure things out. Totally understand that. But that's when I started my podcast called Flashbacks, which I talk
Right?
a lot about the Playboy memories and just basically surviving the early party scene of the 2000s without social media or really up to date phones. The good times when people aren't capturing absolutely everything and editing
Right.
it in certain ways where it's like I'm not that much of a drunk. But anyways, I started Flashbacks with Kevin Conley's network Action Park Media in 2020, and my first co-host was Heather Ray Young, which is part of the Playboy family
Oh
as
yeah.
well. And we continued that for a year. It got a little difficult with just the world kind of getting back and then more work and this and that. And then I had another co-host, Deanna Pappas, Deanna's, well, anyways, she was the Bachelorette. She was great. She was fantastic. Then, just times got, a little hard to get down there and, life happens. And so now I'm just going to revamp, and I've been working with Kevin on talking about some new ideas. So I'm excited to start back in the new year with Action Park Media.
And you're talking the Kevin Connolly from the show back in the day, Entourage, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah. And, it's funny enough,
Very cool.
I met him 18 at the Playboy Mansion, and we have been friends now for over 20 years. And it's just those connections that you meet, and, you never know where it's going to go down the road. And, it pays to be a good person. And I love connecting. I think there's room for everyone. And it's pretty cool just to have these long lasting friendships from such a crazy time in my life.
You know what I like, Jessica, is I like social media and I hate social media.
Oh,
I
100%.
dislike the constant feeling of like, oh, I got to check this, I got to check that. I mean, it just it taking over your life. But then when I do see like your posts, I'm like, I don't get to see Jessica all the time, but I'm still you're sharing your life with people. And
Yeah.
I know we got to take a quick break, but I just wanted to mention that it's so cool because I know you've been great friends with Kendra since the beginning. To watch you both, your families and little babies to kids to toddlers, and as they're growing up, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. This is so cool that you share all that. You could, with actors, modeling, radio, all these things, and mom, both of you ladies. We're going to touch on that. We're going to take a quick break.
Yeah.
We are Rogue Bunnies Mayhem. We're back with Rogue Bunnies Mayhem, and I was just mentioning, whoa, both of you ladies, man, families. How old are your kids now? Can you say that? I mean, it's been cool. You've been sharing everything with everyone. It's so cool.
7 and 9. My kids are 7 and 9. It's crazy. I know, Jen, you're laughing because you're there too.
I know. 9 and 11.
It's crazy.
It
It's
is.
absolutely crazy to think about. As I'm looking off because they're in the backyard playing football.
Aw. You just go
But
outside.
the
That's nice
balance
for
that
you.
you're able to do, I got to commend you. It's so cool. Both you ladies, man, you guys still are out there doing your thing. You're being seen. I mean, my gosh. I mean, you don't have a makeup artist sitting there like, at all the shoots, but you ladies always look beautiful. It's like you're always like on it, everything is just going. But what about like for your kids? Do the kids understand like why is mommy always recording?
Right.
Shit.
Can you hear me?
I love that you guys are laughing because you guys are frozen for me, and all I can hear is like the breakup. I'm gonna yell at my husband after this. It's not his fault, but he's just there. So there's that.
Sorry for that.
Yeah.
All right, you know what? Let's just start this whole segment over.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna stop
If I
it.
put my hand up, that means it's frozen again. But hopefully it's not. The first segment was fantastic, so let's go.
So right before we went to the break, I was just talking about how you ladies come from the modeling world. You have your careers going, and next thing you know, you're moms, man. I mean, you're balancing both, and that's what's cool. It's like some people say, "Okay, I have my family now, but I don't do that anymore." But you ladies are like, "No, I can balance it." And it's people don't understand all the work and stuff you guys go into.
Well, I think also I have a little girl and I want her to know that she can still you can be a badass mom, but you can also be, great in business and be successful and still maintain relationships. It's first and foremost all about my children, but I also want to set an example of like, listen, you can still do X, Y, and Z. And still be a great mom and hands-on mom and, all that stuff. And I mean, I'm even on the PTA. Like, I'm not joking. Like, yeah. But don't worry, I have set the bar so low with my position that anything I do, I get so much praise. It's like, okay.
Kudos to you.
I like Jen. I like Jen right there going, and I am not.
I am not. For many reasons, but I am nice.
Our PTA honestly is pretty badass. Like they're like a cool bunch of women, and it's I'm out here in LA, so it's like a lot of the moms are in the business, and it's kind of cool to see them balance it all and still be. I mean, I know that they have their stigma of like the PTA, but it's honestly I don't know what exactly it stands for, but we're good.
Do you moms ever get the hater moms that go, oh wait a minute, Jessica Hall, I Googled her. You know, Jen, I Googled her. You know what I mean? It's
Sure,
like,
Yeah.
everyone's
hey,
Googled
boys,
me.
wait a minute.
Whatever.
Do you guys get over
Yeah.
that, or is that not existent?
Jen, I'm with you. Well, I use my married name, so I don't really publicize like. I mean, I use Jessica Hall for so much, but like in
Right.
that, but people, yes, they eventually find out, and I'm just like, whatever. I mean, I look borderline homeless in the morning when I walk my kids to school. So if they're googling some good images, hey,
Right. I mean,
whatever.
I grew up here, so people
Oh,
knew me as that all happened, and then as I moved back, I'm in the same area where I grew up, so it's
okay,
just
yeah.
common knowledge, you know.
Dude, I mean, I'll just continue to do stuff or like, up one so they can just continue to talk or not talk or Google. I don't even care. I don't Google. Like, I can honestly say, I
Right.
don't even scroll like on Instagram. I do my thing. I mind my business. And I just keep going with, no, I don't want to say blinders on because obviously I know what's going on around me, but I definitely
Right.
choose just to stay in my path.
Well, what do you guys then think? Because you're both, I mean, we do a podcast, we're working on shows. You do a lot of awesome videos. You have the family in videos, you show everything.
Mhm.
And for the children, you're raising your children. How do you explain them the good uses and how do you warn them of the bad uses of like social media?
My kids are still pretty young, so they don't have phones, obviously, no social media, but I do explain to them that why I have my account is, I'm, if you want to say influencer, I have created my own brand. So I help
Right.
I tell them that I create like commercials and I create different images to help promote these brands. So I'm kind of like in marketing.
Right.
So I kind of stick with that because I don't want them to know, because there are ways to abuse social media. And I feel so bad for these kids at this age when they're comparing so much to what they see on social media. And I mean, there are so many apps too that half the time these kids, teenagers, celebrities, they don't look like that all the time. They don't do this and that and that. I
Right.
don't. So I get nervous with my daughter, not so much my son. He's just, all he cares about is football, like football, football, football. And he's only 7. But my daughter, I don't want her to get like tied up in that. And people always ask me too, like, what are you gonna do when your kids Google you? What are you gonna do? And I was like, oh my gosh, there's gonna be so much more stuff like in between that. We're
Right.
fine. But I will, I will explain to them. I will treat them like, I'm not going to downplay stuff, but I'm going to obviously do like kid friendly talks. But right
Right.
now, I'm not really there, so
Yeah.
it's a
I
good
haven't
feeling.
been there either. Mine know
Yeah,
nothing about any of that.
yeah, and
Yeah.
let's
I have
savor
my
that as long
picture
as we
with Hef
can.
on the display, and they're like, "Who's that?" And I'm like, "One of the nicest men I've ever met in my whole life. His name is Hef." So they know what he
Yeah,
looks like. They know that he was special to mommy, but they have no idea.
yeah,
Like,
like that.
yeah,
Yeah,
I like that you brought that up, Jen, because we got to all experience, and yeah, for everyone that's keeping tabs, I'm calling him the boss again, because that's who he was to me. But we all got to know him from different aspects. Well, do you recall the first time you met him?
yes, I do. It was senior year of high school, but I was 18. And I actually met this guy before half. You probably remember him, Brian, because you've been around for so long. His name was Gordon Rail or something. I don't
Gordon,
know if
no,
you
it's not
remember that
ringing a
guy,
bell
but
right
I
now.
was at this restaurant called La Petite for a senior ditch day. And yeah, he came up to me with like a business card because this is like obviously before, like, I don't know. I don't even think cell phone. I don't know. I can't remember, but 2001. So here we go, 2001.
Right.
And I got invited to the party, and it was like a midsummer party. I had no idea like what to wear. I didn't know going in what I was expecting. And that's when they would take Polaroids and you'd write your phone number, throw it in the
Uh-huh.
box type of
Yep.
deal. And then I got a phone call from Mary after attending the party just a few days, and said that would like to invite you over for fun in the sun. And I was like, what's fun in the sun? Can I bring my mom? Like, what is this? Like, I didn't know.
don't
And
bring your
so,
mom.
I mean, who knows? And I remember showing up, and I just remember being like, holy cow, going from like the midsummer party to like a fun in the sun. And it was so um, quiet and peaceful, and the grounds are so
Yeah.
beautiful. I actually got to see it in the daylight, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And I kind of just sat there. I didn't know. I remember going up to like the bar area and getting a drink and like soda or something. So I was 18, but I was like, okay, how much do I owe you? Like, what is this? Like, like, oh, this is free. But he was so generous and so sweet and so kind. And then after that, I got a phone call, I think literally the next day, from like Jenny. And she was like, hey, Hef would like to invite you up for Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays. And I was like, this is cool. Like, okay. And I ate like a queen. I was treated so nicely. The staff was unbelievable. I met some really good girls up there. And yeah, I mean, there was a couple times I got phone calls, and I still even have some emails probably saved asking to move in. And I always said absolutely not. And I thought too, I like to point that out. When I was asked to come and, possibly be a girlfriend and move in, I remember being like, great, that's it. I said no, so I'm never going to be allowed back up there.
Right.
That is not the case. That was not, and TJ, when I mentioned that, I was like, actually, I have a very serious boyfriend. And I didn't know Hef loved love so much, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And he was
Nope.
like,
You
bring
nailed
him.
it.
I go, bring him. Okay. And I remember all the girls being so upset because Kyle was allowed up there so much, like, on the weekends and the parties. I never had an issue with bringing Kyle. And I just thought that was really cool of him. Instead of me being like, thinking the worst case scenario was actually the best case scenario. And I will never forget that he did that.
I love that you pointed out that he loves love. He's romantic at heart. He always talked about it in all of his interviews, and I think that's what's helpful when we do shows like this, that we can all tell our different points of view and let people make their own determination. We're going to take a quick break. I want to get into some fun stories at the mansion. If you're willing to go there, we'll be right back. You are listening to Rogue Bunnies Mayhem. We are back, Rogue Bunnies Mayhem, with the one and only Jessica Hall. We promised you we'd get her here, and she's you're gonna go down that bunny trail. Tell us some fun secrets from the mansion.
Oh, secrets. That's just the
Funny
thing.
fun adventures,
If we had social media back then, imagine no secrets. Like, that's what I love. I love so much
Right?
about my memories of just meeting so many cool people. I remember even at one moment I had like a camera, like a camera, like a real one.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I was asked to hey, you can't have that out here. I was like, I will say I'm really sad. I don't have many pictures from like just the times at the mansion. I really don't. I wish I would have dug in this box, and I'm sure you talked about this, but there's always pictures taken from the photographer at the mansion, mainly Kia, and she would put the pictures in an envelope, and you'd pick them up every Sunday. I can't tell you how many times I have not picked those photos up, and I wish I could go back and get them. Stop it. I know. I'm so mad.
Oh.
I was young and just like, whatever. I'll get it later.
Well, I feel like you were in a lot of pictures with me that I probably have, so I'll just take pictures of them and send them to you.
Jen,
so
please.
have them.
Yeah. Jen and I
that.
connected, big time at the mansion.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking of that, like, I made so many friendships. Like, I'm still, my best friend to this day is Kendra. And I met her when she moved to the mansion. I think that was like 2005. And she was a painted girl, ended up being Hef's girlfriend. Then the girls next door came, and then we were, real life friends. And I just spent Thanksgiving she spent Thanksgiving at my home. We spent holidays. I'm the godmother to both her kids.
Awesome.
And, just to see her thriving and doing her thing now, and, all stages of life being there. I have the mansion for so many things to be thankful for.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't. And I know everyone has their own experiences for sure, but on my end, I sometimes I'll sit back and think and just kind of smile of like the best memories of my 20s that I've ever had. I think one of the last times I went up to the mansion, I was pregnant, and I was pregnant with Sophie, so it was like probably 8 years ago. Yeah. And then I went again with Kendra and Hank. I think we were filming something. I can't remember. And that was my last party I went to. And I vaguely remember it. I remember Cooper like taking us to the bathroom upstairs. Kendra wanted to see her own room. I woke up with so many bruises. I'd never danced so hard. Kyle and Hank were somewhere. I think they ended up carrying us out. And it was like my first time out since like basically breastfeeding and having my first child. And it was really, I went right back into old times, and that's what it feels like every time there. And, sometimes I get certain smells and I smell the mansion, if that makes sense. It sounds weird, but it's not. And then just going through the LA life, because I'm still here. So still running. I mean, I just got a text from Stacy Fuson, and I'm going to do her poker tournament again in March.
Oh, awesome.
I like that we all have this, we're like a big family, and it's still knowing that someone will be there. It's not like I get to see these girls all the time. I went to an event last month with Raquel, and it's just nice to know that the connections always pick right up where they left off.
And they're never weird. You could not see someone for 15 years, and it's like the time never went away.
I could not agree more.
So weird. but
And
it's so wonderful at the same time because there's no awkward getting to
absolutely
know,
not.
like breaking the ice
Right.
again, which you just jump right back in. It's
And being that, oh, I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh, everyone would always tell me, they're like, Jessica, wasn't there so much drama and cattiness and this and that? And I go, no, there really wasn't. Like, there was
it
no
really
really
wasn't.
competition. There was no, everyone kind of had their role, and everyone. I just feel like, it was some of the easiest, most fun times like I
Yeah.
had. I mean, granted, I did not live there, so I don't know what went behind closed doors. I don't know. I had no rules. I was having a blast, and I was
Right.
so happy to have Kyle next to me, and I'm just happy of the friendships that I have today. And it's yeah. I mean, the secret. I mean, some of the stuff I've done up there or didn't wish I did. Like find that one room to have sex. I wanted to have sex at the Playboy Mansion. Like, how hard was that? I just could not find a room. And I kept asking, Brian, I feel like it was you that I was like going around, and then Kyle was like, Jessica, I'm so embarrassed. Can you stop? And I think it was my I've been with Kyle since I was
You
21 years
did come
old.
up to me and ask me, come on, tell me where the cool secret spots are. Yes, you did.
Okay, so I was like, why do I? But yeah, I just, I at the moment, I didn't realize I was living like my best life, Like,
How did you
yeah.
get involved? Because we talked about how you got approached to, hey, you want to come to a party?
Oh,
You're hanging
yeah.
at the mansion and stuff. But how did you get into radio? Because that's because
Well,
of radio is how I was able to actually interact with you and become friends, because
yeah,
you were
okay.
always loved at the mansion. Like Paula, we were like, oh, yeah, Jessica's here. I'm like, oh,
Aw.
dude, it's gonna be
Honey.
fun.
Aw.
So, well, after just going to the mansion and having some good times, and I told you when Hef called me, and then I said no. Then I got to bring Kyle, and then I was like, how can I work within? Like, I was already working. Ray Manzello was my manager at the time, and I was hosting like TV Guide. I was doing some stuff with MTV. I said, well, they have Playboy TV. Like, how do I do stuff with there? How do I do this? How do I do that? And then I was on a guest, I think, on the morning show, and I go, I could do this. I want to do this. And I remember working at the Glendale studios for 6 months for absolutely free. Farrell was the guy leading it at the time. And
Yeah, Farrell Hirsch.
I learned so much in those 6 months, which landed me a 5 day gig there. But I always wanted to see how else I could work. And so then I would approach a Playboy TV. So then they had me up at the mansion. I think, Brian, you were there a few times that I had. They would have me like show potential people that wanted to advertise on Playboy.com or Playboy TV. So I'd give them a tour, and I would sit and have lunch with them. And I sat with, I think it was Gary at the time. Gary, I
Gary
believe that was his
Rosenson.
name. Yes. Oh my gosh. How
Yes,
do you
we just
know?
ran into him at the Sky Bar for the latest Rogue Bunnies
Oh,
party
I
that
need to
we
go
had
to one
there.
of those. I need
Yeah,
to
you
go.
do. So
Yes.
fun.
I need to go. Yeah, I saw it on social media because I don't scroll, so I didn't see it till like it happened. But anyways, yeah. So I kept trying to work within the company. I knew how big Playboy was, and I knew it's not just
Oh
this
yeah.
one time you pose nude and you're done. No, no, no. There's opportunity that I think a lot of
Mhm.
people didn't quite understand. Then I went to Playboy TV. I hosted Playboy's Beach House. I hosted some dating show. I can't remember. I did a lot of the hosting stuff within Playboy
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
TV.
right. You
I
did the beach house when Steel Panther was there, and I was there
Yes,
at Tim
yes,
Phillips.
which
Yep.
yeah,
That was
that's
fun. That was a fun one.
yeah. So there was just a lot of work that I just kept trying, and then I remember I mean I would even ask to do certain event, like they would just constantly call me for stuff, and it was like kind of crazy because I was like, this is awesome. How do I? And I'm not just, but I was very reliable. I wasn't like,
Right.
I think it's what you see, what you got. So I think I didn't need to be what is it called? Like they didn't have to worry about me, like sending
Yeah,
me to certain
you
places. I
carried
went to
yourself
Mexico quite a
and
bit.
responsibly and
Yeah.
professionally represented the brand, and they really liked to lean to the girls that did
Exactly.
that.
Yeah, Jen, exactly that. So
Hmm.
I remember going to Aspen for the Paralympics, and I mean, there were so many memories that I had that I was working within Playboy, and it was fun. It was, some of the best times, like I said, I had. And, there was obviously craziness, of course, but nothing I wouldn't change. And, again, with Kendra, then I went on and I did, oh my gosh, I did a lot of seasons of her show. And that
Yeah.
was with Kevin Burns. And yeah, I mean, that's a long, career to have. And it wasn't just that, I was doing other things. And I just always constantly wanted to work. And yeah, I definitely wasn't lazy in my 20s. I'll say that. And obviously I showed tits too, so let's not forget that. Nobody wants these anymore, though.
Oh my God, so many stories. I'm sure you have. We want to hear them, but we got to take a quick break. We're going to be right back. You are listening to Rogue Bunnies Mayhem. All right. I knew we were going to have to go into a 4-segment show. You know, sometimes it happens. And Jessica, we can just keep talking with you over and over and over because the stories don't stop. So for all our listeners, come on, man. What stories are popping in your head? Like, oh man, I never really told this one time.
Oh my gosh. It's I just wish drinking wasn't a factor. I'm just kidding.
No, that's the same for me.
No, Jen, I'm gonna blame you. Jen got me on Jack Daniels. Yeah.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mhm.
there's many things like a topless in the grotto. I think we all have done that.
Oh,
There's been
yeah.
moments that where, let's see, oh my gosh, there's that moment I was young. I think I was really young. It was before my husband, but I totally like made out with Fred Durst.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, no way. Oh my God. Wait. Because Fred used to hang out up at the mansion for a lot of the
Mhm.
parties, but there was the time that they performed. And I remember we got shut down. What was it? What do you remember what
Okay.
party you made
He
out with
didn't
Fred?
perform. No, no,
Oh,
no.
okay, he didn't
And like he
perform.
took me out on a proper date. Like it wasn't just like, oh hi, let's make out. I'm funny. Actually, it kind of was like that.
I'm sure it was. It was like that for all of us.
Oh my gosh. I was literally 20 years old. It's so funny now to look back on how actually young I was. But I mean, my gosh, okay, here's a funny moment. This was actually radio. And Brian, I don't think you were there. I don't know if your show was asked to go, which I kind of wish it was because it was at the brothel. Did you go to the brothel?
No, I did not go to the brothel. Please
Oh,
tell about the brothel.
I did. I was like shell shocked for being so young and like doing the show. And we're the morning after, it was me and Brandy Moses, and it
Yeah.
was like one of the most crazy experiences I've ever. It's crazy because people think, oh yeah, she was in Playboy or she did this or she did that. They think I'm some like crazy person, which half the people on the show probably already thinks I am. But I really was kind of reserved. I've been with my husband since I was 21 years old. I was always I wasn't like this out of control crazy person. So I got shell shocked a lot with this job of having on Playboy Radio. And that was one that was at the brothel, just like learning the ways and seeing the different rooms and learning about the DC room, which is a dick check room. There were so many things that I was like, what am I doing here? And listen, first and foremost, I do not judge anyone. Whatever works for them, works for them. But of course, going into some room where there's like an on-site, like nurse practitioner that was like checking their stuff to make sure, and I was like, well, yeah, that makes sense. Seeing the different rooms that people were into of like a jungle theme or some like waterfalls and like stars up in the yeah, and it was shocking me, but it was the most cleanest place, and it smelled super like the whole like this sounds. Why am I going this far now? But
We're learning
it
so
was
much.
definitely something. I will say, Mike and Holly loved it. We had a show called Swing
Oh.
Time on Playboy Radio, and they were like, I learned so much about the I don't know what to call it, the culture or whatever of like
Swinger world.
just the whole thing. And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
okay. So I would think your listeners would probably be a little intrigued with me reporting live inside a brothel.
Oh my God. I'm glad that you brought up Mike and Holly because Jen, we're gonna have to reach out to them. I have not seen them forever. It was so cool is that when Mansion Mayhem was right before Swing. So you know how after we'd finish a show and then you have to like write up and like things and stuff like that, they're gonna put out whatever on the promotion of it. So I'd be in the bubble typing while they start their show. And I was the vanilla guy that they would always bring in. And oh my God, the stuff that these guys talked about.
Listen, you know what's crazy? I remember there was a moment with them, and I was very young, and being at Sirius XM, and our nice studio, this and that. They go, "We're bringing a show called Swing Time in." I go, "Swing Time? What's that?" And they explained what it was. I was like, "Oh my gosh!" So I remember when Mike and Holly would first come into the radio show, I would just kind of like be shy and just kind of like walk away. And there was a moment when he comes up to me and he looks at me and goes, "Hi, we are Mike and Holly. We don't want to fuck you." And I was like, and first off, I was like, then I was like, you don't?
You're all, wait a minute.
You're like, I'm relieved and
then I took
I'm
back.
not happy at the same time.
But it was a great lesson for me because I was like, oh my gosh, was I coming off this way or that way? And from there on, they have become such good friends of ours, and they are so amazing. And whatever they do in their private life, or put on their show, that's great. Whatever, to each your own. And they are the nicest, best people that honestly that I think I've ever met. I mean, their hearts are bigger than anyone. I mean, I
Well,
can't say
yeah,
enough good things about them.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely have to reach out to them. We'll have to get them on,
Yes, you
Jen,
do.
because oh my God, when you talk about going to a brothel, I remember my eyes being open when I had to go help do a charity event. And so I said,
Yes.
okay. And I went there and I did that whole thing. I'm going to save the story. I'm getting them on the freaking show. It's crazy. But our eyes got really opened up to a lot. I like the fact that you said that, that you got to know people outside of what the labels are, so to speak. I mean, we really got to learn a lot. Like Mike and Holly, they were such sweethearts. They're amazing. But we developed a
They are
great family,
sweethearts.
great friends up at the mansion, and I wish we could do it again. I wish we could. Maybe someday. We're working on a mansion for Rogue Bunnies.
Maybe someday.
I think I must be freezing because she stopped. Hello?
Is he frozen?
Am I frozen?
Yeah,
She's not
you're good
hearing
now.
me.
You back? Okay. So
I feel like I should just like flash or something. 'Cause this is...
I mean,
Oh, you heard that?
only we would know because we wouldn't put that on the air.
You could use that. I don't care. Anything I say it is what it
Right.
is.
So then you could just feed the line, I'm Jessica Hall, and then you can say, and the mayhem continues, and we'll just like blend it into everything.
Okay, well, you're both fine now, so. You want me to say I'm Jessica Hall right now? Okay. I'm Jessica Hall, and the mayhem
And
continues.
the mayhem continues.
And
Okay,
the
do
mayhem
it one more
for
time.
you.
And
That's funny.
the mayhem
Mayhem
continues.
continues.
That's good.
Well, the mayhem can't continue without Wi-Fi, so
Right.
we're not continuing.
It'll sound fun.
This is funnier. Just do outtakes all day
I
long.
know, right? Like the blooper show.
Yes. The
That'll be
mayhem
good.
will continue.